So now that all my desserts are baked, I'm going to start my whole roasted chicken. And what I'm going to do first is blend together a mixture of garlic powder, parsley flakes, which is, the parsley flakes is pretty much just to give it some color, you know, just to make it look nice, and oregano and basil. Now I do recommend using the fresh herbs, but if you don't have any on hand, then you can just do what I'm doing. It'll probably work out fine. And I have some saran wrap, and I'm going to get 1 stick of butter, and I'm going to try to do like a compound butter or whatever to rub on my chicken. And of course I will show it, but to tell you the truth, I mean, I'll pretty much just be blending about a tablespoon of each, maybe a little bit more of parsley flakes. But as far as the basil, garlic, and oregano, I'm going to do about a tablespoon of each. And then, like I said, just sprinkle a good amount of parsley to give it some color. And I will come back when I'm ready to show everything. So I'm about to start my chicken, and what I'm going to use for my chicken is this. I mean, I would recommend the fresh herbs like I said previously, but if you don't have it, then use what you have. So I have all my little spices that I'm going to do for my butter, and then I have some saran wrap which I'm going to roll the butter in after mixing, and then I have a whole chicken which is just under 8 pounds. So I'm going to get started with that, and then I'm going to get my seasoning. So hold on, I'm going to use to season the chicken. So give me a minute. So I've already made my little spice mix, and what I used was seasoning salt. I mean, you can use regular salt, but I just wanted to use seasoning salt. I used onion powder, paprika, I used some basil, and black pepper. So I'm just going to blend this up really well, and then I'll come back. So now what I'm going to do is take the little rub I made, and then I'm just going to rub it all over the chicken, like all over the skin and inside the cavity. So now that my chicken is seasoned all around, inside and out, I am going to actually just refrigerate this and going to get started on my butter. Okay? So I think I'll just wrap this up, and like I said, when I'm ready to put it in the oven, and I'll come back. Right now, what I'm going to do is, like I said, I'm going to get started with the butter. I'm going to wrap this up and put it in the refrigerator until I'm ready to bake it. Now, I almost forgot. I do have 2 onions. I already cut one in half, and then I'm going to cut another one in half. And right before I place the chicken in the oven, I'm going to stuff these onions inside of the chicken. Now for the butter, I'm going to use a whole stick. I'm going to use basil. I'm going to use parsley, oregano, and and some garlic powder. Except I wasn't even thinking, I should have let this sit out to get somewhat soft so everything would be easy to blend together. So what I'll do is start something else, and then once the butter is somewhat soft, I'll come back and show you what I do, and it's very, very easy. So now that my butter is somewhat soft, I'm going to begin adding my seasonings to the butter. starting out with some garlic powder. And I did a couple tablespoons. So about a couple tablespoons of each, I guess. Okay, so the spatula wasn't working. Like I said, it's somewhat soft, but so I'm just gonna try to blend this up. Now you can see why I said the butter should be softened. By the way, this butter is salted, so I'm really not going to add any salt to this. And besides, I have enough seasoning on the chicken. So far, this is what it's looking like. The color completely changed, I guess because of the spices or whatever. And I'm just trying to make sure everything is well mixed. And I'm not going to use all of this on that chicken. So once it's like all blended in, I'm just going to let this refrigerate. So I'm going to show you my next step. Okay, so the butter is all blended nicely. So let me see if I can remember. Okay, I guess I'm gonna try to make this into like a roll or something. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, but so I'll keep doing that, and then I'm going to refrigerate that to get it to the, a little more stiff. Okay, so I just took it out of the oven and I let it cook for 4 hours on 250, and it is done. The skin is nice and crispy. The top, this is just like the butter, so that's okay. That's just from the butter I rubbed on, whatever. And as you can see, I have like plenty of broth to make a gravy. Oh, that's just my timer. I have plenty of broth to make a gravy, so I'll show that in a little bit. I just wanted to show how tender this is. I mean, the bone fell off, and so it's really tender. All right, one more thing, if you're going to use one of these aluminum pans, I recommend putting like a cookie sheet underneath, like I had to do earlier, because the bottom started to leak. I don't know why I used this anyway. I mean, I have like 3 roasting pans, but I don't know. So I just thought I would point that out. Also, if the gravy is not thick enough, you can always add more flour. And as for the seasoning, you just season to your liking. So I'm just like gradually adding the seasoning as I go until it's seasoned to my liking. So right now I'm still just mixing it up. I have about 5 minutes left. And like I said, if you want to add more flour to thicken it up, that's up to you. But I already know this is going to thicken up, and I don't want it too thick. And I know, like I said, it's going to thicken up anyway. So I'm going to add a little garlic powder too. That's just what I'm going to do. It's optional. I just didn't want to leave anything out. So I literally mixed it for about 10 minutes non-stop. And I'm not going to cover this or anything. I'm just going to let it sit while I finish my remaining dishes, which I already pre-made them, so I just have to put them in the oven. So that's it. That's how I do my roast chicken and gravy, and I'll put pictures at the end. So the gravy is, let me just show how that's looking like. It's definitely starting to thicken up. Right now, this is the consistency of it. Like I said, I mean, I didn't want to add any more flour because I don't want it super thick. So that's the consistency of it. Now, if you don't want to make the gravy, there's like a nice amount of broth from the chicken, and it tastes really nice. Actually, I prefer the broth, but I know that some people like to use gravy, so I thought I would show how to do it. Alright, so I didn't do as much as I did for Thanksgiving. I did some of the same things though. I did greens, and of course I showed how I do the homemade gravy using the broth from the chicken that I showed. Over here I have some rice, and then here I have a baked ziti. I just layered it like a lasagna this time. Of course, the whole chicken, the lighting is horrible over there. And then I have some mashed potatoes and some macaroni and cheese, cake, box cake, and some slices of sweet potato pie. So that's it. Alright, bye.